Hello there, this is Cassie, and welcome back to my YouTube channel and blog for day 2 of the Rabbit Hole Designs release. I'm going to show you a couple products I'm going to be using today, but all these are available and I will have them listed down below. This stencil is called Spell It, and I think it's cool because you could use it to spell out all kinds of things. Use it as it is, but I'm going to spell out a couple of words, and so this is why I have some post-it tape sitting off to the side. I am going to mask off each of those letters, and I am going to be using some Simon Says Stamp white pigment ink along with a mini ink blending tool and isolating each of the letters. I'm going to start in the middle. So I eyeballed it, obviously, and I'm going to eyeball all the letters, but that's what's kind of neat about these letters is that they aren't perfect, which is what I like because I tend to not get things very perfect, and so this is right up my alley. But I did try to start in the center. And then I am going to do the letters on each side of this particular word. So this word that I'm going to be stamping out, well, not really stamping, but sponging out, is R. So R is my word in the middle. And I'm not cleaning it off in between, as you can see. It probably would have been a good idea to do that, but honestly, I was fighting against the clock here. I had a cat on my lap, and he was like very intent on, he loves paper. I mean, I'm telling you, he must be a craft cat because he absolutely loves paper. And my other cat couldn't have cared less about paper, but this cat loves paper. So I'm starting again in the middle, but I'm working up. So I'm trying to line up those letters as best as I can. But like I said, these aren't perfect letters, so it doesn't really matter if they're kind of off. Just going to keep using that same post-it tape. And you'll notice that I end up getting some of that on the paper itself. This paper, this cardstock, is just a navy cardstock that I have in my stash. It's a dark navy cardstock. Probably could go with just about any dark cardstock if you're using a white pigment ink. But as you can see, this little guy, he can't stand it. He wants those Post-its so bad. I'm not sure why the Post-its. At one point, he did run off with one. And I was like, great, he probably has white ink all over his paws and he's running through the house. But I recovered my Post-it and tried to get him occupied with like a little mouse. And yeah, but it was a fight. To the end, it was a fight. So anyway, again, fighting with the clock here and lining up my letters. I'm working again in the middle, but on the last word. And as you can see, I wonder if you can guess. I have U-R, and then I'm going to move on to my next letter. And each word that I have chosen is 3 letters, so it worked out pretty good. That just kind of worked out. But you could come up with all kinds of words for this. You could come up with cake. I think some of the design team has come up with some really clever things. So you'll definitely want to go and hop along to see what everybody did come up with this stencil because it's just really cool. And you could obviously change up the colors. You could do all kinds of things. If you wanted to do like pastes or things like that, you'd obviously have to wait till things were dry, but it's okay. So yeah, you can see I have a bit of a mess on that background because I didn't clean off my stencil in between, but I'm just going to use my mono sand eraser, which worked out pretty nicely for that, and it gets most of it gone. But I did decide that because this was a pretty plain card, I wanted this to be a masculine card, so I didn't end up putting any little bits of embellishment on there. I do take my mini ink blending tool and I take that white pigment ink and I go around all of the edges. It just adds a little something to it, and then if there are any more smudges, it doesn't make it that big of a deal, so it kind of draws the eye away from that. This panel was cut down to 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then I'm going to move on to using this stamp. So this stamp is so cool. It's called the Sassy Birthday 1. So that means that there is a Sassy Birthday 2 as well. But I have Sassy Birthday 1, and the sentiments in this are hilarious. So this one that I've chosen, even though my background says you are old, the sentiment says, look, I'm not saying you're old, but if you were milk, I'd sniff you first. I just thought those were fitting. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to trim this down using my Fiskars wire trimmer and then kind of take a look at where I'm going to put that. I'll put some foam tape on the back of the sentiment and then line that right up over the word R. So you can still tell that it says you are old. And then I'm going to use some Brutus Monroe Not Your Mama's cardstock. This is a 120-pound weight cardstock. So to put my folds in there, I end up scoring it on the front and the back. That way the fibers kind of get you know, manipulate it a little bit so that they're less likely to tear. I'll use my Nuvo Deluxe liquid glue. I mentioned this yesterday. I'm super happy to have this. Always been wanting to use this. And then I'll adhere that down to my card base. But I am going to take another one of those sentiments from the Sassy Birthday one, and I'm going to put that on the inside. And so since the front says, look, I'm not saying you're old, but if you were milk, I'd sniff you first. The inside will say, at least you're not as old as you will be next year. So I can think of several guys in my family or that I know that would love this card. So that's going to finish off our card today. Like I said, I'm going to have all my information listed over on my blog, so I will have that listed in the description box down below. So head on over to my blog and check out what the rest of the design team has been up to. You won't want to miss anything, and you won't want to miss the possibility of a prize. So yes, I'll have that listed down below. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you so much for stopping by.